Hello everybody, my name is Leona and I'm a physical therapist with Physical Solutions. The video that I'm going to present to you today is the second part of a two-part blog series that I put together to help you return to activity after a long period of downtime. Now, if you haven't read part one of my blog, go to www.physicalsolutionsli.com and click on the blog link. I think there's a lot of helpful tips there that will benefit you in your return to activity. As I mentioned in part one of my blog, during long periods of inactivity, similar to that of which most of us experienced during this past winter, our bodies start to undergo changes. We have certain muscles that may get weak, other muscles that may get stiff and tight, and we start to lose some of the flexibility in our joints. What happens when we return to activities? Our bodies are now weakened and predisposed to injury. I see many people coming into the clinic this time of year with injuries that possibly could have been prevented if they had some type of screening tools or screening mechanisms to perform on themselves to uncover some of these limitations. So in today's video, I'm going to show you a couple movements that you can do on yourselves in the comfort of your own home to help you uncover some of these limitations. It's then up to you to seek the help of a physical therapist, such as myself, to help improve these conditions so you could go back to the activities you enjoy without sustaining an injury. Now, I just want to mention that the tests and procedures that we're going to go over today are by no means meant to be an all-inclusive examination. It's a quick screen that you could do on yourselves, and it doesn't substitute for a thorough examination of a physical therapist or an orthopedist, nor does it guarantee that you're not going to have an injury if you get through all these tests without a problem. If you have any questions about any of the tests and procedures that I'm going to show you today, all the contact information for myself will be listed at the end of this video. Hope you enjoy. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any problems. The first test that I'd like to show you today is the shoulder abduction test. To perform this maneuver, stand with your feet a comfortable distance apart and maintain a good upright posture throughout the performance of the test. Then what I'd like you to do is bring your arms fully up overhead and all the way back down. Do this 3 or 4 times, and as you're doing it, I want you to take note of 2 things. Do you have pain? And can you achieve the full range of motion overhead without any compensation or deviation? If you're unable to do so, it's indicative of some sort of problem and you should have your shoulder looked at. If you're planning on going back to any type of overhead sport, this may result in some type of injury because of a lack of motion or some sort of pre-existing condition. The next test position that I'd like to show you is a forward bend test. What you're going to do is you're going to stand with your feet together, your knees fully straight and locked out, and you're going to reach down towards the floor slowly, making sure your knees stay straight the entire time. You're going to do this motion 3 or 4 times. As you come down, you're going to round the spine, keep the knees straight. And during the performance of this motion, there's a couple things that you should look for. First thing that you want to see is, do you have any pain? If you have any pain beyond a simple stretch in the hamstrings, it could be indicative of something more serious. If you have sharp shooting pain that's jabbing you down the leg, numbness in the foot, you may have some of the other issues there and you should get looked at. The next thing that you want to observe is, the next test motion that I want to review with you today is the lumbar extension test. What you're going to do is stand with your feet about a shoulder's width apart. I want you to place your hands right in the lower back. You're going to block the pelvis, and then what you're going to do is you're going to extend yourself all the way back as far as you can and then come forward. You're going to do this motion 3 or 4 times. Again, taking note of 2 things. First thing you want to take note of is, do you have any pain? If you have any pain at any point during that range of motion, it could be telling you have some type of problem. If you have any sharp shooting pain down the leg as you're performing that motion, you do need to get looked at. The second thing that I want you to take note of is, are you able to achieve the full range of motion? Are you able to come all the way back? If you find that as you start to come back, you have to bend your knees to compensate, or tilt to the side, you're unable to achieve the full range of motion and you have a lack of mobility in the spine. The ability for the lumbar spine to extend is very indicative of good lumbar spine health. If you're unable to perform this motion and you're planning on going back to any type of physical activity, you may wind up with a problem down the line and you should have your back looked at. The next test motion that I'd like to show you today is the squat test. While doing this test, you should do so in front of a full-length mirror so you can take note of your posture and body mechanics while performing the test. When performing this test, you should stand with your feet about a shoulder's width apart. I want you to keep your feet flat on the floor, slightly pointed out, and then what you're going to do is you're going to squat down as if you were sitting into a chair. Do this motion 3 or 4 times, and then there's a couple things that I want you to look out for while you perform the motion. First thing that you should take note of is if you have any pain. Pain in any one of your joints, hip, knee, or ankle, is telling you that there's some sort of issue there and you should have that addressed. Second thing that I want you to look at is your posture and body mechanics as you perform the test while watching in the mirror. First thing you want to see is, are you symmetrical as you come up and down during the motion? If you notice that you're deviating more towards one side or placing more weight on one limb as compared to the other, that's a compensation. And if you were to perform that task repetitively during any type of sport or physical activity outdoors, you may wind up with some type of overuse injury because you're using one leg more than the other. Could be telling you that one leg is weaker, or you're favoring it due to pain. Either way, there's a problem there and you need to have that addressed. Second thing that I want you to look at regarding symmetry is, as you're coming down, are you able to maintain your knees aligned over your feet? If you notice that your knees are doing this, it's either due to hip weakness or some type of limitation at the ankle that's causing you to compensate to achieve the motion. Go up and down a couple times, and if you're unable to maintain your knees aligned over your feet, you could be winding up with problems down the line due to overuse at the knee, ankle, or hip. Next thing that I want you to take a look at is, as you come down into that squatting position, can you keep your heel down on the floor? If you get to about here and you feel like you have to lift your heels to go down, this is telling me that you have some type of problem at the ankle or some type of limitation or restriction at the calf that's not allowing you to achieve the full range of motion. This is a problem and it's something you should have addressed.